Yeah, I heard about traffic. Okay.
I got a list for you. I gave it to you, Brian. Is that good? Oh, okay. My printer's acting.
Okay, good evening. I have to get the list of people yet, but welcome to the city council meeting for September. And I'm just going to start by saying any of you who may have wanted to listen into the workshop, we were not able to Zoom it because the mics were not working. And they have run to the store on emergency and got us some batteries, so hopefully they will work for the rest of this time. And we're all going to try real hard to talk into the mic. So I'd like to start by calling the meeting to order. And our mayor, Dennis Green, is out of town tonight, so I'm going to take over for him. So we have Boy Scout Elliot Lehman here, and he's going to lead us in the invocation and the pledge. Pardon? Yes, please do.
Okay, so just going to give a little update on how we're doing. The city is our troops charter. All current updates, we currently have 3 scouts who are all working on Eagle Scout projects, so we should have 3 Eagle Scouts from Morgan's Point soon, within the next few months, hopefully. Our pack, the younger group, the elementary age kids, have started their popcorn sales, so if anyone wants popcorn and wants to support the unit, we have a website, I'm pretty sure, and you might see some of the little ones out selling their popcorn. Other than that, we have some people participating in a canoe race up in Dallas this weekend, and I think that's it. But, one note. Okay, popcorn fundraiser Saturday at the Dollar General. There will be people outside selling popcorn.
Okay. So if you didn't hear that online, popcorn fundraiser Saturday at the Dollar General for the Boy Scouts. Thank you, Elliot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for the announcement and citizen comments. So this is an opportunity for members of the public to suggest the addition of topics for discussion or to address topics of interest, with presentation limited to 3 minutes. All speakers will conduct themselves in an orderly and lawful manner. All speakers will be recognized prior to speaking and will announce their name, address to be included in the minutes. State law prohibits the mayor and members of the council from commenting on any statement or engaging in dialogue without an appropriate agenda item being posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Law. So I have 3 people here. We're going to start with Michelle Weissman.
Michelle Wiseman, 1 Ridgewood Drive. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, thank you for the work and time you devote to the residents and employees of Morgan's Point Resort. I'm speaking on one point this evening, the evacuation plan City Councilman Jimbo Snyder mentioned. My husband and I, like many, love living in this community. We have neighbors that we know and care about. If you walk to Oakmount Park when I'm walking my dogs, expect a friendly hello from me. We know kids, older people, have friends our own age, and we celebrate family milestones together. We all help each other too. I'm sure you all have similar relationships in this beautiful community. And I know our fire department is trained and ready to fight fires. City Councilman Jimbo Snyder has the experience, relationships, and the insight to know we need an escape route and how to go about planning it. This idea was heavily dismissed by the former city manager at one of the meetings. I cannot have this be the last word on this subject. Please move forward with planning. Since that meeting, the fires in Hawaii have occurred. I don't need to say more on that tragedy. How many people live in Morgan's Point Resort? Or as my youngest said, Mom, how many children live in Morgan's Point? Before the first city emergency warning siren was ever built, someone had to say, we need a siren. Mr. Snyder sounded a siren for an evacuation plan. Are you listening? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next is Donna Hartman.
Donna Hartman, 112 Great West Loop. Well, first I wanted to thank Carrie and our staff. You have put in a lot of work and a lot of time this month, and I really appreciate everybody doing their jobs and doing such a great job and continuing to run the city as well as it's being run. And council, once again, I want to thank you for your unwavering conduct. You know, during this month, you have shown us your leadership qualities and your strength of character, and you are very well appreciated. Wanted to let you know that once again. The other thing is you have to appoint a city secretary tonight, and I wanted to speak about Camille a little bit. And in my capacity on the city council, but also as a volunteer in the city, I can tell you when I worked at the city, there wasn't any obstacle or any challenge that she didn't take on and be so successful. We were very, very short-handed. A job she had never done before. She said, hand me the book, went in a room and learned it. You couldn't ask for a better person. She's dedicated to the citizens of this community, and she's well respected by the staff and as council members. And the other thing I'd like to take a little time to do is I want to congratulate Ophelia on her retirement. And Ophelia and I go back, well, I say 25 years. Ophelia, I think it's more like 30, 35, however old Veronica is, probably over 30 years. And, you know, over those years, we faced a lot of challenges. We've had a lot of hard work. We've created some wonderful memories, and we've had a lot of laughter in our lives. And so with Ophelia's guidance, this city, we were a family. We were a family that worked together, residents, staff, and council, and it was wonderful. Sometimes we were a little bit of a dysfunctional family, maybe, right? But we all came together, and we worked together, and we were one team. It wasn't team council, team staff, team residents. It was one team working for the betterment of the community. And I hope, you know, for kind of Ophelia's legacy, too, that we will continue to do that. And Ophelia, I wish you and Renee best wishes for your retirement.
And the last on the list is Becky Cooley.
Hi, my name is Becky Cooley, and I'm here to talk to you about National Night Out. That is coming up on October 3rd from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It'll be at your local public safety center. Police department and fire department are working together. And to help get you a little excited, I did bring some goodies for council.
You want me to catch that?
No, I'm not throwing it.
Oh.
So we got more goodies? Nope, just one.
Multiple kids.
Harry.
We have more goodies that night, and we'll have lots of fun activities.
Yeah. That's it, all right. National Night Out, October 3rd. And we're going to have a meeting at City Hall? Or is it in the neighborhoods?
No, it's going to be
At the Public Safety Center. Okay, Public Safety Center, October 3rd for National Night Out. Thank you, Becky. All right. So now we're going to go to our consent agenda. All items under this heading are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion unless the mayor or a council member requests that an item be removed for separate discussion. Any item removed from the consent agenda will be considered immediately following a motion to approve the consent agenda. So we are going to discuss and consider approval of minutes from August 1, 2, 7, 8, 14, and 15. Can I open it up for discussion?
I have some comments on the 7th, 8th, and 14th that I emailed to you over the weekend. And did you get a chance to give that to anyone or?
I didn't give it, I thought you had forwarded it.
No.
Oh,
That's okay. Sorry. On our budget, it just said $6.9 million. And then on 3A, oh, this is on the 7th.
yes.
And then on 3A, it said there was a lengthy discussion at the beginning. And at the beginning, it only lasted 25 minutes. And then our city manager left the meeting. So I do want to add that the city manager left the meeting at about 5:20 or whatever time he left.
Okay.
And then you want me to continue to go through these?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the 8th, Jim Ann made a comment, and it said that she wanted to stay with staggered terms. And I think what Jim Ann said was implement staggered terms, because we don't have staggered terms now. 6B, it said that the council agreed on the EDC's timeline, and I think we just accepted the EDC's timeline. It was a historical
Report.
perspective of EDC over the last few years. And so I don't think we agreed, approved anything. I think we just listened and accepted it. So I think the word agree needs to change. And then on the packet on page 41, it's just a resolution number issue. And then on 6F, I just wanted to add that the applications for Parks and Recreation are due on October 15th to the city. It said city secretary, they'd be sent to the city secretary. I just want added by October 15th, so it's real clear as to that deadline. And then the packet on page 45 has this as a resolution, 2318. But we didn't approve the resolution. I'm not even sure anyone made a motion or a vote count on that one. It's just a question. On 6I, I'd like to add the amount that we approved, which is $22,000, et cetera. On 6K, Jimbo made the motion to implement staggered terms immediately, and the motion failed for lack of second. But then it went on to say that another motion was made and that there was a vote on it. But since there wasn't a second, then no further motion was made, no voting was taken. And so I think the minutes need to delete it after the motion failed, because we didn't even vote on it. I'm not sure where that voting information came from. But I listened to the video and it was over then. On 7B, we're waiting on trial balances from the accounting consultant, not the auditors. The accountant has to come in and prepare the work. The auditors just audit it. So there's two different firms involved, and the auditors can't audit their own work. So it really is two different groups. Then on the 14th, you didn't know the name, Jason's last name. His name's Barton, B-A-R-T-O-N. And Donna was Citizen Hartman. You had everybody else's first name. So I said add Donna to Citizen Hartman so we don't confuse her with Larry. And then on 3A, Lynn Milam's comment. She was talking about trash bins, B-E-N-D-S. And I think it should be bins, B-I-N-S. 5A and B, I don't understand the difference between 5A and B. I read them both. I think only one of them is needed. I think they're redundant. And that's it.
All right. Any comments? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as recommended with the changes.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody's in favor. Thank you. And if you have a copy of this. Okay.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next item is committee reports. We're going to start with the library board report. So, Ms. Robinson. Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson. Pam Robinson, Mary Ruth Briggs Library Chairperson. And I want to read you some figures for August. We have 7,662 books in the library, with 11 added during August. 311 members, which are family, not individual members. 364 and a half volunteer hours. And Volunteer Day on August the 16th was held with 4 volunteers, and we worked hard trying to keep the library in good working order. Our next Volunteer Day is to be able to come to that. I keep knocking it off, sorry. So that's why we changed the time on it. As you may know, we have another group as a part of the library, Elder Explorers. And on August the 31st, we held our Elder Explorers at the Point. And we had chair yoga, which was taught by an instructor from Firefly Yoga. And we stretched and stretched. It was very, very nice. And then after that, after we all stretched out, we played bingo, which everybody likes. Everybody likes that because we give little prizes. Let me see. Thursday, September the 28th is our next meeting. And we're all going to learn how to play Mexican Train, which is a domino game. And I've played before, but I sure have forgotten. So our instructor will be Les Minor, and he'll teach you whether you know anything about it or this is your first time. So please join us. And then in October the 26th, ordinarily we would be in the event center, but due to Bell County voting, we're going to take, I guess you'd call it a little day trip. We're going to go down to Sol de Jalisco for breakfast from 9 to 12, and we have one of our NPR policemen speaking on elder scams and how to recognize them and what to do about them. So, our last summer reading program was on August the 12th at the Safety Center, and it was a great finale. We had the fire department, the police department, the dive team, a helicopter from PHI. The kids were just thrilled. Well, even some of the parents and grandparents too. We can always count on the other departments to come to our aid for wonderful, wonderful programs. And Jimbo Snyder read a great story and did very well with it. So.
It was about helicopters, so they kept it simple
Okay,
for me.
but what I was most impressed with, he sat down on his knees, eye level with the children, and afterwards he was able to stand right up. So I was most impressed with that. With help. Oh, I didn't see that. On week 1 at summer reading, we had 27 students, which was a lot with all the parents and grandparents, was a lot for our little library. Week 2, we had 15. Week 3, we had 13, and our final week, we had 30 plus. We just lost count. It was tremendous. So see you next summer. Our next function is going to be the library 5th annual art show. It will be held here Saturday, November 11th, and we'll be getting out forms for you to sign up if you're an artiste who would like to join us. And even if you're not, you can join us just to look at art and be with your fellow citizens. Thank you.
Pam, I have a quick question. You two, the October date for Elder Explorers, I didn't get that. Sorry.
The 26th. Mhm. That's what?
That's the one that Jalisco's talking about, the elder scams? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And all that will be on the calendar on the website, right, Pam?
Thank you.
All those dates will be on the website, on the calendar? Okay, good, thanks.
Okay, next up, we have Miss Cooley with Planning and Zoning.
Oh, you know what? I have an auxiliary report that Karen asked me to read.
Okay, we'll let Miss Cooley go first because
Okay.
she's already here, and then you're next. Okay.
Becky Cooley, chairperson for Planning and Zoning. We did not have a meeting this past month, but I do have an update for the comprehensive plan. It is currently in its final stages. Colliers Engineering and Design is currently completing the final document. In the most recent conversations with the city, they're planning to do a staff review and edits next, and then share that draft plan with the Planning and Zoning Commission and with City Council in a possible joint workshop before proceeding with the public hearing for adoption. Colliers anticipates the staff review will be completed and possibly by the end of this month, and Planning and Zoning and the council workshop will be held in early October. We do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday to have more updates and finalized dates for October.
Okay.
Thank you, Becky.
All right, auxiliary.
Okay, auxiliary. Okay, so this is from Karen, and she couldn't be here tonight. The auxiliaries ladies will meet this Thursday, September 14th, 6 p.m. at the Event Center. We meet monthly on the second Thursday of each month. Please join us. And I heard the menu. Barbara, did I see something about Jimmy Buffett burgers or something? Anyway, sounds interesting. We're less than 2 weeks from the September 23rd chili cook-off. We have games, Melanie's miniature ponies, professional face painting, vendors, bake sale, raffle baskets, tasting cups for people's choice, and tacos El Cunado will be set up with breakfast and lunch available. Of course, we'll continue the tradition of friendly rivalry, the fire department challenge. We plan to take the trophy back from the Moffett Fire Department this year. Follow us on Facebook. Our auxiliary members will be participating again this year in the Bell County Senior Expo on September 26th at the Expo Center. Instead of setting up a booth, we're volunteering with the Belton Journal as event staff. And again, a reminder, the 5K run will not be held this September with the chili cook-off. The run has been moved to March of 2024 with Jojo Guzman as our auxiliary organizer and planner. Watch for updates. Thank you always to each and every one of you for supporting our events and fundraisers. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Roxanne, I've got the one from the cops, from Lynn. So we'll jump in here. This is from the NPR cops. September 14th through November 10th, NPR cops will have a box for non-perishable items to help the local food pantries stock their shelves by Thanksgiving. That will be in the Safety Center foyer as you enter the building. With the high prices, more people have been forced to use food pantries and they're running low on food to handle the need. Please make sure your items will not be expired before Turkey Day 2023. September 21st is the next meeting here in the Community Center, open to new members. They will be discussing the third annual Thomas Nipper Memorial Barbecue Cook-Off. Also on the 21st, they'll be having festivities for Think a Police Officer Day at the Emergency Services Building. The 23rd, the NPR cops will be cooking in the chili cook-off, starts at 8 a.m. Come out and taste their chili, vote for the cops. That's on camera. September 26th, 8:30 to 1 p.m. They will have a booth at the Senior Expo Center at the Senior Expo at the Expo Center, now named or whatever it's named. They'll be handing out goodies, have 3 door prizes, so we'll come out and see them. Lynn Milam, President, NPR Cops.
Thank you. Good. Appreciate that. Lots of stuff going on here. So the next item on our agenda is called a presentation, and I think it's about the MS4 stormwater, and who is going to present that? All right, wonderful.
Well, Roxanne, the budget's actually first. If y'all want it, the budget's actually informational only, but just it.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Word. I work in the utilities department here in the city. Today I'm here to talk about a vital aspect of our community's infrastructure, the small municipal separate storm sewer system, otherwise known as MS4. Understanding this system and how we as residents, employees, and elected officials can contribute to its compliance is essential to our city. According to the Federal Clean Water Act in Chapter 26 of the Texas Water Code, our city is to maintain a general permit and a stormwater management program. I'm here today because one of the requirements of this program is public education, outreach, and involvement. So first, let's demystify the term MS4. MS4 is a network of stormwater management infrastructure that serves our city. These are roads with drainage systems, catch basins, curbs, gutters, ditches and storm drains, etc. It is designed to handle rainwater and surface water, surface runoff, reducing pollution and flooding in our streets and water bodies. So in simple terms, it's what keeps our city clean and safe when the skies open up. Now, why is the MS4 system so important to us? Number one is pollution control. Rainwater running off streets, parking lots, and rooftops can carry pollutants like hydrocarbons, chemicals, trash. The MS4 system catches and treats this water, ensuring that harmful substances don't end up in our lakes and rivers. This means cleaner water for all of us to enjoy. Number two would be flood prevention. Although we wouldn't know it this year, Texas is no stranger to heavy rainfall. The MS4 system plays a crucial role in preventing flooding during storms. It manages the flow of stormwater, protecting our homes and streets from damage. Three, environmental protection. Our local body waters, such as Lake Belton or Stillhouse Hollow, are not just scenic spots or places of recreation. They were originally built to provide drinking water to nearby communities. They're also home to various wildlife. The MS4 system helps safeguard these ecosystems by reducing pollution that can be harmful both to us as well as our aquatic life. And four is regulatory compliance. Compliance with MS4 regulations is not just a legal obligation, it's a testament of our commitment to our community and its well-being. We must work collectively to meet these standards, ensuring that we are responsible stewards of the environment. So now the question arises, what is it that we as residents can do to help maintain and ensure compliance? One is proper disposal. Ensure that you dispose of your trash, chemicals, pet waste in designated bins and areas. Also take advantage of the city's quarterly cleanup. This presents a great opportunity to get rid of any bulk items, things like appliances, batteries, tires, paints, etc. Getting rid of these in the proper place helps in reducing these substances from entering storm drains and public waterways. Two, sustainable landscaping. Consider incorporating erosion control solutions like rain gardens or permeable pavement or other sustainable landscaping practices on your property. These help in slowing the flow of surface water and improving infiltration, thus managing the stormwater locally by reducing the burden on our MS4 system. Three, reporting issues. Be vigilant and report any illegal dumping or unusual discharges into your storm drains. You walk out and see your neighbor changing his oil over a storm drain, say something. And I think Officer Newsom's going to be talking about illegal dumping. So early detection can prevent potential environmental hazards. So if you see something, say something. And then last and not least, community education involvement. Spread the word about the importance of the MS4 system to your neighbors and friends. You can participate in control measures by volunteering for Adopt a Street or participating in community cleanups. The more people that understand its role, the more support we'll have in maintaining it. So in conclusion, the MS4 is a backbone of our city's environmental protection and flood efforts. By doing our part and staying informed about the significance, we can collectively ensure a cleaner, safer, more sustainable Morgan's Point. Thank you for your attention, and let's work together to keep our city beautiful.
Thanks, Jerry.
very
I had a question about community involvement, more of a plug, actually. I don't know if anybody knows that this weekend they're going to do the trash getters around Lake Belton. And so they're looking for volunteers on Saturday and Friday night. They're doing volunteers dinner and all that stuff. That would fall into number 4, really.
Yes, absolutely.
You're aware of that already, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. So that was a plug. And
Yes. Are they meeting at Rogers Park, or where are they meeting?
I can
Oh,
tell you. I want to say,
oh,
is it
anybody know?
I think it's TLP.
Multiple places.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, multiple
They're
places.
having the dinner at one, and I forgot which one it was.
Okay.
Um,
It's on Facebook, I know, because I've seen it. I just don't remember yet. Okay, this is super. I really appreciate it. And I was wondering if we want to take this last part, what residents can do. And where's Esther? Oh, there she is over there. And maybe get the word out somehow. I already done. Oh, got it. Okay, super. Because I thought that's really helpful. And we all need reminders from time to time. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
making
we want to
us
make
all
sure we
aware.
plug the quarterly cleanup because, some of the things you were talking about, the tires and paint and stuff is just almost impossible to get rid of. And that's why you get a lot of illegal dumping because you got nothing else to do with it.
As we've
Thank you,
seen on the
Jerry.
news. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it said permeable pavement. I have a nephew who does porous pave, but he's from Michigan, so, but it works really nice. I did go out of order. I saw that I missed, so we'll have illegal dumping in just a second. We have to do the final approved budget for 23-24. It says informational only.
Yeah, and there's nothing to do. I just wanted to make sure that someone had asked about it, but really, since with some of the workshops, we did have final changes, and I just had given y'all like a handout kind of capturing this, but that way if you had looked at it, or if you trusted that basically all the changes that we had talked about made it in the final budget. So hopefully I got everything, and we're good to go. Looking forward to
Fantastic.
24.
Great job.
Thank you.
Carrie? Okay. Next on our list is a presentation by Officer Kyle Newsom on illegal dumping.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kyle Newsom. I'm a patrol officer with Morgan's Point. I guess I'm supposed to be giving you the presentation over illegal dumping. Hopefully y'all have the handouts, and I'm going to teach it as best I know how, which is by the Texas law. Okay? So it might be a lot, but I'm going to try to burn through it pretty quick.
Kyle, it wasn't in the packet. It was a handout.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Esther told me it was a handout. There you go. All right. Going straight into illegal dumping, as defined by the Texas Penal Code 365.012, a person commits an offense if the person disposes or allows or permits the disposal of litter or other solid waste at a place that is not an approved solid waste site, including a place on or within 300 feet of a public highway, on a right-of-way, or on other public or private property, or into inland or coastal water of the state of Texas. An offense under this section is a Class C misdemeanor if the litter or other solid waste is to which the offense applies weighs 5 pounds or less or has a volume of 5 gallons or less. And of course, that comes into like your oil and everything else, like they were explaining. If he's draining oil into it's going to come down to the volume. Now, diving deeper into that, Morgan's Point has its own city ordinances for littering and trash disposal. And going into the Morgan's Point City Ordinances, Section 13.03.009, burning, dumping, or burying waste. Per Morgan's Point, it shall be unlawful to burn, dump litter, or dispose of garbage, waste, brush, or trash of any kind within a lot or private or public area within the city limits. So that prevents any disposal of anything by fire within the city limits. Our city strengthens the Texas Penal Code to enforce that harder. So we can keep the contaminants out of the air by people burning lumber and everything else that it's treated with. Moving on to the next section, 6.05.004, depositing injurious material into a public park or recreational area. This is another Morgan's Point city ordinance that is in there. It's a little broadly defined, but it goes as this: no person shall throw or deposit in any public park or recreational area within the city other than a designated trash receptacles, any glass bottles, glass, nails, tacks, wires, cans, or any other substance likely to injure a person. So anything that you could, I guess, assume someone's going to hop in the dumpster and injure themselves on is prohibited by Morgan's Point. Going on to subsection B of the parks and recreational areas, the public parks and recreational areas of the city shall be posted with signs informing the public of the prohibition by this section and the penalty for the violation hereof. The posting of such sign shall be deemed prima facie evidence and that the area posted is a public park or recreational covered by the terms of this section. So, as we well know, there's a few of our parks that need more signage about illegal dumping. A few, even just the community center right here doesn't have any signage. It has the prohibitions over there of the no alcohol, no bad language, dogs on leash, and things like that. But we don't have any signage of any sort. There's nothing down at the marina as well. There's nothing down at Oakmont Park. There, we don't have any signage anywhere. Moving on, the definitions, of course, is kind of a long read. Of course, by the Texas law, it defines every word that's used in there. By garbage means putrescible animal and vegetable waste resulting from the handling, preparation, cooking, and consumption of food. Handbill means commercial, means printed or written matter. Litter means garbage, refuge, or rubbish as defined herein. Refuse means all petruscable and non-petruscable solid waste except bodily waste. And rubbish means non-petruscable solid waste consisting of both combustible and non-combustible wastes such as paper, wrapping, cigarettes, cardboards, tin cans, yards, clippings, leaves. Yeah, and it goes on and on. Of course, I'm not going to bore y'all with the definitions because I know most of y'all can read at least a little bit better than I can, because I can't say petruscable for some reason. I don't know that. I don't either, apparently.
Does that mean stinky?
Yeah, apparently a stinky animal waste. Okay, now moving on into the end of this presentation, depositing of waste and litter. Per Morgan's Point, under section 6.05.003, depositing in a public place. No person shall throw or deposit litter in or upon any street, sidewalk, or other public place within city, except in public receptacles, in authorized private receptacles for collection, or in official city dumps. And that comes down to what they were talking about, quarterly cleanup, and making sure Morgan's Point has a place where people can take their bulk cleanup and everything else to be deposited of, so we don't have people dumping them in the dumpsters and leaving them on the side of the road in parks or things like that, where we're around all the time, but we're not always going to catch them at that time. And then section 6.05.010, depositing in a park. No person shall throw or deposit litter in any park within a city except in public receptacles, as such manner that the litter will be prevented from being carried or deposited by the elements upon any park or upon any street other than public place, where the public receptacles are not provided. All such litter shall be carried away from the park by the person responsible for its presence and properly disposed of elsewhere. That's basically saying if there's no trash receptacles around to put anything in, you're going to take what you brought in out and hang on to it till you can dispose of it properly. And that covers most of our parks areas and things like that. And with that, that would be the end of my presentation. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So Kyle, as we get the Parks and Recs Committee together, is there some other ordinances you think that should be addressed as far as with some of these, or is there some suggestions that you could make to that said committee?
The Texas Penal Code's really broad on their definition of illegal dumping. The thing with the Morgan's Point city ordinances is they tend to be kind of vague because they tried to strengthen them because city ordinances can only strengthen Texas law.
Okay.
Right? We can't take away Texas law. Texas law is Texas law. We can only strengthen it by our city ordinances. So if you do come into the ordinances of illegal dumping and things like that in the city, there are some good things like the postages of signs and things like that. But as we see, we don't actually follow those rules.
Sure.
Because it's listed in there, but we don't have it.
So you know the tires that are by the marina?
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the things that they're, obviously they were dumped at some point, whether
Yes.
legally or illegally, but they're not good for the environment. And so, you know, obviously that's the Corps' wheelhouse, I suppose.
Yeah,
but
that's the
also-
Corps' domain right there.
Right, as far as that, but how do we get those cleaned up? Or like how, as far as is there an enforcement way that we can get that cleaned up?
There's not so much as like an enforcement way, but we can if we had enough volunteers and get to work with the Corps and get their permission to remove those tires. Because the Corps has certain stipulations below their line of what can and cannot be removed, as long as it's not a habitat or something like that for some. But we work really close with the Corps, especially with all of our parks around here, Rogers Park and everything like that. So getting a hold of a Corps agency and getting to work with them on removing those tires would not be too difficult.
Well, and I know that was a topic of conversation for this thing this weekend, because I guess they had already removed, like, the Corps had removed 300 tires this last week.
I noticed they moved a lot down at Rogers Park.
Yeah, and so they did Rogers Park, but like the marina, you know, we have, I have no idea how many tires it is, but it was hundreds
Yeah.
probably. And so, I don't know. I mean, obviously that was illegally dumped, so I'm just trying to figure out how we fix that.
No, just as a point of interest, a lot of those tires and stuff that were dumped were not illegally dumped. They were put out there for structure for the fish.
Back in the
Back in the day, we used to collect Christmas trees and wrap them up with chains and anything and put concrete blocks on them and take them out here and dump. Because this place is a desert for fish. There's no structure out there. And so they dumped everything possible out there to get structure. Just like if you see them on the coast where they take out the concrete and the old ships and stuff. So what you say that they're illegal, no, most of that was not illegal dumping. That was encouraged dumping.
Yeah, that's why I say we got to check with the
Yeah,
Corps
so-
on things like that, so that way we're not removing the work they were trying to do or something like that. Of course, it does look ugly when the water goes down and you can just walk across the marina and get to your boat and just pretend you're in the water. But yeah, but working with the Corps, we work very closely with the Corps, and they're around all the time. So getting a hold of them and asking them permission to remove those tires would not be too difficult. Of course, they don't have most of the manpower to do it most of the time, but if we got enough volunteers together or whatnot, it wouldn't take much.
Well, this was brought up to me, is a good idea would be if we could get like a front end loader down there, and then we had 10 volunteers just throwing tires on the front, on the forks, you know?
Yeah, while you can walk down there and get
Yeah.
something down there just to load it all up real nice and
Carrying them up
easy.
would be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. No, especially that steep hill right there.
Yeah.
I don't even like walking down that thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for y'all's time. Y'all have a good night.
And I appreciate your reminding us of this, and I have kind of noticed that Morgan's Point is a pretty neat place. People are pretty good at, once in a while see stuff, but most of the time so just a reminder, we can all do this together and keep us nice. So thank you. Okay, next thing on our agenda is naming an interim city manager. So can I just open this up for discussion, or do we have to have a motion to open? Okay, we can go ahead and discuss it first. So we have Mr. Reed here from the COG, and we have Carrie here, who's been kind of unofficially acting as our city manager. So I would like to get input from both of them, if we could. Would you like to go first, or do you want the COG to go first?
I'll let Jim.
Mr. Reed from Central Texas Council of Government.
Thank you. It's our honor to be here again, and I apologize for not being at your workshop earlier, but your Ryan hasn't fixed Loop 121 enough yet. So he'll have to do that. And also, I'm sorry, but I'm going to also tell Becky that she's no longer allowed to bring throwing things when I'm going to be standing at a podium. Just don't do that anymore. Thank you. We presented, after our meeting on Friday, a draft interlocal agreement with a very high-level scope of work for your consideration, and I'd be glad to answer any and all questions about that or any other topic that is appropriate at this moment in your agenda.
Well, like I said earlier at the workshop, after I got your proposal over the weekend, I just kind of got in my head. I went back to all of our previous, probably the last 6 months agendas to try to figure out, maybe what could be a work in progress. And then I just kind of came up with what I thought the COG could help us with on an interim basis. And I sent that to you over the weekend, and you responded immediately. And you said that all that was totally in the scope of the agreement that we had. So it gave me a lot of comfort. So then I shared it with Roxanne and Carrie. We went over that today as far as scope. Carrie's got some other ideas also. And I know if we move forward on this, I know you're going to want guidance from the rest of the council on their thoughts on how you can help us out.
It would be our initial intent, and the way we did this last time is we would ask each of you on the council to give us your top 5, top 7. We don't want to limit you. If you only have 3, we'll look at those. Then we'll collate those. In the meantime, we would want to meet with all department heads and have them provide a list of the top 3 to 5 things that are on their list of things to do. And then pretty quickly, we should be able to collate that into a list and a priority list that we would come back to you with and say, okay, this is what we think the marching orders are. This is where we're focusing our energies. And if you all will endorse that, then that's what we'll work with staff to get done. If you look at us and say, Jimmy read the room totally wrong, number 5 is now number 1, you're the council. Number 5 is now number 1. But we have to start somewhere. And your staff typically, has been our experience, is very well versed in what they're saying grace over. And there's no need for anybody, whether it be Carrie or the COG, if you were to choose us, to come in here and try and redirect them away from what they've been working on. It would be our intent to try and understand. I'm a big fan of the saying, seek to understand before you seek to be understood. And it would be our intent to communicate what they're working on in a digestible way with a bona fide plan, a prioritized list that matches what you all tell us and what department heads are telling us, so that everybody's singing off the same sheet of music and we're all pulling the wagon in the same way.
And then we did workshop this on Friday. I don't know if Roxanne mentioned that at this meeting. I know you mentioned it at the workshop.
We did. We spent Friday evening a few hours discussing this. So I just wanted to go around the room. And Jimbo, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, the only thing that I'll toss in there is after chatting with Carrie this morning, after we came out of the workshop Friday, my thoughts were pretty firm that I wanted Carrie to take that role as interim, and let's bring the COG in underneath. Talked to Carrie today, and kudos to Carrie, because the way he explained it was, he said the magic words when I was quizzing him, was that this is the best thing for the city at this time, which is to let him continue to focus and run the course he's running. Tag you're it kind of thing. So I support that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bishop?
So I agree with you, Jimbo. I had a conversation with Carrie last Friday, and I loved that he was being honorable and vulnerable and transparent. And so, as we move forward, I think I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Well, that was easy. Yeah, and I do too, and I feel like he's doing a fantastic job here. He still is the assistant city manager, and so he will kind of guide a lot of the things that go forward. And one of the things that I've mentioned before, and I think most of us, I think, are in agreement with this, but one of the things we really would like to do is to have those audits completed before we bring a new city manager on board. And this, by hiring the COG to help us with that, that will free Carrie up so that he's able to, he's long way on it, but able to maybe finish that before we get a new city manager, and it'll kind of give us a fresh start. So that's my opinion. All right. Do I have a motion?
Roxanne, real quick, I don't know if you want to say anything, but wait. Just for the citizens and for the people, I'm going to go over real quick in case you guys haven't seen this. This is the scope, which just kind of glosses over.
Yeah, they have not seen it since we got it after the publishing of the packet, so carry on, and you wait.
Carry on my wayward son. Yes, sir. Yeah, so this is just kind of the scope of work, attachment A from the ILA. So SitCog will provide a contract city manager of the city of Morgan's Point for minimum 8 hours weekly in the city offices. The contract city manager will attend all BOA and P&Z meetings unless prior notification is given to the mayor. Contract city manager will be authorized by adopted resolution to represent the city of NPR and carry out the duties of a city manager. Initial 90-day period will be billed monthly. An estimated cost right now is $25,000
And if I could also respond to that,
for 90 days. Yes.
the reason we wrote that the way we did is our interlocal agreements are allowed by law between you as a member government and us. If you all tell us 2 weeks from now, you want to go in a different direction, you're not tied to 90 days. I mean, you're our member. We want to make you happy. And so we put an initial period, but the interlocal agreement is very clear that you have options within that, and we will only bill you for the actual amount of work we do. It's our intent at this time that the person who will be spending the majority of the time on this project will be Ryan Nelson, and if it's not him, it'll be me. And so you're kind of getting a two-for deal, but I would encourage you to know that you can reach out to me at any time. Ryan knows how to get me at any time, but he will be the person in residence.
And he will be here 1 day a week, right?
Yes, he will.
You or him.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if he can't be here, I will be here. But
So, and then on the other days, if we need something,
you will have his cell number, my cell number. You can call us at any time. You're not limited to the number of hours on that. I also would encourage you not to think of your Ryan as sitting in an office for 8 hours at a block time. I think that he ought to be able to look at the pace and the activities that are happening within the city. And if it's better that he's 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour, that he might have to spread his time that way. But the scope amount of work that you would be billed for is Ryan in residence 8 hours a week, and Ryan and I on call unlimited amount of time.
okay, thank you. Carrie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, my only thoughts were, because, I mean, I agreed with this. Some of y'all thought we needed to do more or less. I mean, obviously, we're losing 40 hours of work. But I think right now, kind of with discussions, that if we can push the pause button on certain things, that we can use the COG as their guidance on certain other projects that we're slightly already using them anyway for. But yeah, I mean, so at least the 8 to 10 hours, or whatever, kind of on a given week, I think this will allow us to continue forward on the right track and get us through the next couple of months in November, December, hopefully. I mean, the only thing I want to throw out there is, yes, whenever we have that first audit, because whether they do it both all at the same time, I do want y'all to revisit the ILA that we have there. That, I mean, really, at that point in time, when everything's off my plate, my senior accountant will have more things off of my plate. I kind of want that I can hold y'all accountable, that saying, hey, at that time and period, we don't necessarily need the COG anymore. So if y'all are okay with that, then like I said, I told y'all individually, this is probably my recommendation for the city at this point in time.
Thank you, Carrie.
And when I say unlimited, I do mean that in our experience last time, although those were different times, you never know what's going to happen as a city manager. I've spent 20 hours on your behalf 1 week dealing with Public Utility Commission complaints. The next week it was fireworks ordinances. So you never know what you're going to be strapped with at that moment at any time. And so, we're not watching the time clock on this one. We want you all to feel like Staff is empowered to do the jobs that you hired them to do and have the coverage that they need from a city manager. And later on in your agenda, you're going to decide how you're going to go find a new permanent city manager. And whatever that timeline is, if we run our course in 1 month, or we run our course in 6 weeks, or whatever it is after we talk to Carrie and when we see where the audits are, if it's the right time for us to transition out, for Carrie to transition in, or us to do it, and then the new city managers, and then the timing comes up, we'll make that work for you.
Sounds great, sounds great. So I would like to ask if I can get a motion to hire the SITCOG for 8 hours a day on site and unlimited time around the clock via phone.
Yeah, to
And
execute
to
the,
execute the proposal as was presented to us. Okay,
You said 8 hours a day, though.
8 hours a week. Ugh, one, yeah.
So you got to watch them already, you're running.
No, that's what I'm here for, so.
Thank you.
yeah, I would like, oh, go ahead.
Nope.
I would like to, make a motion that we go ahead and execute the agreement as provided by the COG on interim city manager services for our city, effective immediately if we can get them.
We're ready when you are.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
I'm,
Aye.
Aye, aye. It was unanimous aye.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, and we will be reaching out to Carrie and scheduling a time to sit down with department heads and begin a transition, and we'll hit the ground running. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider the hiring process for our next city manager. And on Friday at our workshop, just as an FYI for all of us, a reminder, the COG did provide us a little 60-page document on how to do this. And so I started looking at it. I just want to open it up for discussion, see what people think.
Well, I suggested it at our workshop on Friday, and I will re-suggest it again. I think we need to workshop the hiring process. I would like to see all the department heads be involved and talk about what, not people, but qualities that they want in a city manager. And then we need to take a look at that. I think the COG can help us on what we should expect in a city manager, and also some expectations to make sure that we're going into this with clarity on what we want and what we think our city needs. So I would suggest a workshop on this.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Well, we had a meeting, a workshop in, I think it was June, but, everything's kind of fuzzy. Where we talked about what our, with the staff, with the department heads, on our strategic goals of interim type, and those have not been seen since we ended that second. That would be, to me, that would be important that we have that out for the public to understand what we just thought were our goals. And the staff understand what our goals are. So there's perhaps the perception that it's not the same. And obviously it's not as what was before. But if we don't have that out there, nobody knows what we're talking about.
Right, and on that, we spent the morning, and then most of the morning was spent on strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. We only had 45 minutes on priorities, and while that was helpful, that document, in my opinion, is so uncooked, so far from getting to any goals at all. To me, goals need to be real measurable. And so we had talked about at the June meeting that we needed another workshop after the budget. So like in October, I don't know what this time frame looks like now with all the other workshops that we're doing, but that is a separate workshop on coming up with priorities and goals of the city.
Okay, understand that. But in the meantime, we can have that as an interim, because we listed 6 goals. Dalton came back to us with a document.
Right, and Roxanne kind of took it apart, and there were several things in the document that
But it
weren't,
still is a guideline. It says where okay, but if you look at the document that came out of the new document that talked about the 22-23 strategic plan, the first page talks about what is the goal of the city? To become a destination resort.
Oh, I think we have a vision and a mission statement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think
At
we're-
least, let's get that out there.
That's what I
Oh,
think.
I see what you're talking, I
But
thought
it
you
was
said goals and
preliminary. It was
priorities.
our preliminary
Oh, no,
thoughts.
no.
I misunderstood you.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, we decided not to send that out. Yes, it is uncooked, but it's, at least it gives these guys and everybody else, these guys, an idea of where we were talking about heading, and not just wandering around in the dark trying to figure out if it's an elephant.
So, and I think that should be brought to the workshop, because if we
Yeah,
as,
but let's not wait until October, November,
Right,
December to
right.
do it. Let's
But
get
I
that
meant-
out there.
how
so
about,
people can see.
Pat, how about if we bring it to the the council workshop where we're going to be talking about hiring a city manager and saying, this is what we, as the city council, feel like the city of Morgan's Point would like.
Yes.
And then we can use that as kind of part of our criteria.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's just a little one-page article I can bring, and then if we decide we want to bring it
Where's the
back, we can
slides
do
we
that.
had? Gary, do you know where that package is that we had at the end of,
It's probably in my email somewhere, but yeah, I mean, I can find it.
can you send that back out to us, please?
Yeah.
From June? Okay.
Take another look at that.
Oh, no,
And
it's
see if
in our
that's not a
packet.
place that we
It's-
can
it's in
start
our
the
packet.
discussion. Well, if you've got it in your packet, let me have it, because I.
Not in
can't
this,
find
not in
mine.
this packet.
Not in
It,
this
yes,
packet.
yeah.
No. I don't think it was. I think we talked about it and we took them back up.
Yeah, I went to look for mine too. I will.
If you have one, let me know, because I haven't seen it.
We'll get a new one.
Well, I
We'll get
know
it,
that.
yeah.
My
Okay.
point being, it didn't get surfaced very well, I don't
Yeah.
think.
So
Well-
what I'm hearing is that we have to make sure that as we're going forward, that we ourselves know what our top priorities
Yes.
are. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, which
And
kinda-
these- And the department chairs, department heads know where we're headed, so that they're not trying to guess, well, what are these guys gonna do next?
Right, right.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds to me like those are all the things that we need to bring to the table, but the long and the short is, item E is discuss and consider the hiring process. We're not there yet. So if there's no other discussion, my motion would be to postpone further discussion for the night, and let's revisit that.
Yeah.
We're just not there.
So
in a
should we
workshop.
talk about,
Yes.
So workshop it, yeah.
can we talk about when we could set up a workshop? Would that be appropriate here?
Well, I mean, I think we're putting the cart before the horse, even here, just even talking about a workshop. So, I mean, because one, let's utilize the COG as the interim one, and then we might not know what, TML is coming up in October. We might not know the questions that we need to ask. Why are we even talking about a workshop when we don't really know the questions to ask at this point in time? I'm not saying that a workshop isn't needed, but even here, this could be kind of like we can move it down to that future agenda item too, and let's just talk about it next month after.
I'm not putting a time frame on it.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, so here even.
I don't
as
think we're ready.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so I hear that we want to table this until a later date when the workshop, after we have our workshop.
Postpone it.
We'll postpone it. Table, not table, postpone. Okay, thank you. And do we have to make a motion on that? To postpone this until the workshop? Okay, no motion on the floor, so we're just going to postpone until our workshop to be determined at a later date. Okay, the next item is discuss and consider hiring process, Resolution 2023.21, appointment of city secretary. Do I have any discussion?
Honestly, I think we've discussed this. I think what we need to do is we just go ahead and vote for it. And
Okay.
I think that we need to go ahead and approve Resolution 2023-21, making Camille our city secretary.
I'll second it.
And I'll just before no, you're fine. We have a motion and a second, and I just wanted to make a statement that I have listened to a lot of people who have worked with Camille, and I've not heard one negative thing. I've heard that she is just one smart cookie, and she does a great job. So as a point of just recognition, I'd like to say I'm grateful that we have you here in Morgan's Point and look forward to working with you. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And just to put it out there, the resolution's effective for the end of the month. So it's, yeah, there you go.
Yes. And then, I also just wanted, it's not on the agenda, but just thank Ophelia for your years of service here. I hope we have some kind of a party for you, but anyhow, I've really appreciated your smiling face and always so helpful. And I've been new on like several different things here, and you kind of let me go and walk me through it. So appreciate Ophelia for her years of service too.
Thank you, Ophelia.
Okay, the next discussion is to discuss the timeline of the comprehensive master plan. And I think that was reported to us by Ms. Cooley. So is there any discussion about that?
I have, yeah. You know, we started the comprehensive plan in January, February of '22. And we have a steering committee, and we've gone through the town halls or the workshops, and we have a storyboard out there on the website, and we've done a survey that we have also out there on the website, a survey from our residents telling us their vision of what they see Morgan's Point looking like. And then we've kind of gone radio silent for about 6 months. I didn't know where it was with the consultant, and so Carrie reached out to them, and they woke up and said that they wanted to get started on it right away. But with everything going on right now, I had talked to Carrie about being realistic. So this is on my list for the COG to take the leadership role on, to reach out to the consultant, to talk about the process, and then really see what's realistic for our staff. Because there's a lot going on, and we just got off budgets. There's a lot going on in October that we all want to get done. And it does take staff involvement to review, well, steering committee for sure, and then the staff involvement to review it, and then it'll be P&Z. My understanding is it'll be P&Z and the council that will review the draft, and then we will make a formal presentation to the residents. So not to table everything on the agenda today, but I'd like to turn that process over to the COG to set realistic expectations on this. Because the consultant said, we can meet next week, and I'm kind of going, what?
I will get with you, Ryan, tomorrow, because, I mean, these actually, just through an email, there's really no context behind it, and I'll get with him and see if we were planning on having a call on Thursday with Becky and that, but if we need to move it to Friday, if they're starting immediately, I'm sure they'll be more than amenable to do that, but let them kind of be abreast of where we're at, because here, I think I don't think it was really 6 months, and a lot of things was just house with Dalton. So, however, if after I talk with you, Ryan, and if he gets on the call, if we can still kind of accomplish this timeline with my limited involvement, I think that's an easy way to keep the ball moving. And we might not have to put the pause button on this one yet, but if we can even just adapt, and then I will communicate with y'all about, hey, this is actually maybe a more realistic timeline. So that way residents aren't kept in the dark about it. So let's just kind of let me and you, Ryan, kind of figure this one out, and we can hopefully, if we need to hit the pause button, we will. But it was just more of getting y'all more information so everyone's on the same page.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that? I think we are making a plan to move forward in the future, so that sounds good. The next item on the agenda, is to discuss and consider P&Z and council workshop timeline, and that would be for the master plan. Is that correct?
Or just P&Z priorities, Becky? What were you looking for the council?
And I can speak on that too, just because really, actually, you can come up here. Yeah, I know. But I mean, really here, just with a whole new council and this, and then, the first thing that they brought to y'all, whether they, not everyone was on the same page. And so for here, just to get everyone on the same page, and that way they're looking at the ordinances that y'all think, or whatever processes are. So it's not just the P&Z workshop is not exclusive to the master plan, but it's also a part of a broader to get every team on the same page.
Yes.
Yes, it was not related to comprehensive plan at all.
Okay.
It was related to making sure that we can understand from a P and Z perspective what the city council is wanting for our city, so that we are making progress and not hovering or wasting time or doing anything else like that.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any suggestions, Becky, for a workshop timeline?
The last suggestion that someone gave to me was to have a workshop after our regular P and Z meeting that's this coming 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
26.
But I don't think Connie.
I wrote down the 26th. Oh,
And so Connie's the staff liaison from the COG currently, but if Urian, oh, yeah, no, yeah, I was about to
Just
say.
get voluntold for this.
Right.
voluntold, I love
No, yeah, and that might actually make more sense as we, again, now we have a second and an additional ILA to go along with the planning and zoning one, that even if Connie can't do it, if council can meet in the next 2 Tuesdays, then we can probably put that on the schedule. So hopefully the P and Z meeting, agenda meeting would be light, and then y'all could segue into just a council workshop.
There's
So
only
y'all
one
can-
thing on the agenda that I'm aware of, so I think and you've seen me run meetings, I think we can be done in 30 minutes. And then we can work on a workshop after that meeting.
Okay, so are we looking at the 26th of September?
I left my phone over there.
Oh,
Yes. Just kidding. No, we
Okay.
are not looking at the 26th.
okay.
What is the Tuesday after? No, we can't do the Tuesday after that.
Night out. Do we,
How does the
Is it just
last
the
week of
26th?
October?
what if we moved it to like the Thursday? I mean, we're not always tied to just Tuesday meetings.
That's fine. We can do a Thursday.
Ryan?
Okay, you're gone that whole week.
All right.
Right, okay.
So-
And then we're at UIL,
Yeah,
calling it
UIL.
UIL.
we're going back
Yeah,
to school.
UML.
Yeah. No, how about y'all just even kind of, and y'all can CC me, or you can send it to me and I'll just forward them all to Urian, but kind of even the priorities that they were talking about earlier that y'all want to see there. But then if you can also give me your dates of availability, that if you're out for this next week, but if anyone else has anything that they don't know, then me and Urian can chat when he gets here on Friday and we can get back with Becky.
Yes.
So.
So
That'll
and
work.
if worse comes to worse, October 24 is your next P and Z after this one. So we could plan for that if we don't get a date before then.
Yes. If we can't come up with something before it, we can do the October 4th. Sorry. I
24th.
left my phone, so my brain is over there.
I think it's 24th. Right?
24, yeah.
4th, 5th, and 6th will all be.
Yeah, we'll be gone the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So
We're looking forward to it.
thank you, Becky.
We're good to go with the date,
That-
maybe? I mean, we're going to
yeah.
email.
October 24,
Yeah.
if nothing works prior to that.
And everybody else is going to email Carrie for possible dates sooner, correct?
Right.
Okay, I'm just making notes.
And then can you give me guidance as a new council person? And you can do this in an email I don't want to put you on the spot, but, and I can go back over and look at a bunch of your minutes for the last couple of years to see the types of things. But I know you want priorities from us, but I'm not sure where I can begin on that. So I'll just go back and look at your old agendas and minutes and see the types of things that you've worked on. But if you have hot buttons, I'd like to know your hot buttons too, because, you've been at it for a while. So, okay.
Okay. I can
And just
That
send
with
it
all of
to,
us.
send it
We'd
to
all
all
like
of
to know
us.
that.
Okay, good, thanks.
And I think maybe we can see if like Jay could do some of that too from his code enforcement side.
Okay.
So, and I mean, and even here, just if you think about it, possibly that, it might be better to have that joint workshop after TML anyway. Just that way y'all, who knows, there might be, not just on the one I shared with y'all about the civil discord at meetings, there might be something in here about a planning and zoning functionality that, y'all might learn something at TML that might be
Right.
appropriate
I think
and
it's
advantageous.
it's a key role in our city, no doubt about it. It's an important committee, so.
Tell me the dates of TML again, please.
TML is October 4 through 7.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider the noise ordinance.
And can I just do the staff perspective on that one? I mean, really, this would be one and we have the items for future agendas, but we probably could have just moved it down there But I mean, since the resident, Jason, and now I'd have to go back through your notes, but since he had brought it up at one of the workshops last month, we don't want to feel like we're forgetting about him, from a staff or then hopefully from a council perspective. So, really right now, we're probably not ready for it, but it probably would have made sense maybe if we would have just moved it to items for future agendas. And so that way we're at least keeping it on our radar, but we probably don't need to spend much time discussing it tonight because we're not ready.
Yeah, and I'm hoping COG is going to work with P&Z pretty closely. So I'm hoping that COG can come to us with some type of recommendation. Because yes, the resident did give us a huge package of information, and I thought it was real relevant. They did a lot of homework. They gave us a lot of background information. They gave us cities in our area and what their noise ordinances were. So there's a lot of work that
Gone into
a
this.
resident did. So I want to move it forward. I'm hoping COG and P&Z can come together and then come back to us. Okay.
We can postpone.
Yeah, hey, Becky, I know you're chatting over there. Can you jot that one on a note? That's something I wanted to postpone as well. Can you put the noise ordinances down in your notebook for P&Z to start taking a look at? And Officer Gus, I have a question for you, sir. Do you guys carry,
Decibel meters?
yeah, decimeters, audiometers, whatever? Do you guys have that to measure the amount of decibels? Okay, thank you, sir.
This resident, I can give you the package from
Yeah.
him. We got a whole big package from him of, what our current ordinance are, what he's recommending, this whole thing on decibels, and also what cities in our area are doing. I'll just give you that package. Okay.
Yeah, just want to put that one on your
Or
radar.
I
'cause
tell you
it's something
what,
we
it
need to
was
look at.
in the packet, probably most efficiently, because I'd have to scan it and then email it to you. If Ophelia, if you could get that from the last meeting, the whole presentation from Jason.
It wasn't in the packet, it was a handout, but
Oh, well, then I'll
if one of y'all
scan
has
it.
a copy, you can just give it to me and I'll make a copy and I can get it to Becky.
Okay. Okay, it'll get to you.
So on that, we're kind of referring the noise ordinance to P&Z for review
With COG, yeah.
with COG. Okay, thank you. All right, and the last item on our agenda is to discuss and consider FM 2483 expansion with the city of Temple and KTMPO. And I'm going to turn it over to Carrie.
Urian, you're up. Not really, I'm just joking. No, I mean, obviously, I'd been on some of the conversations. Dalton and he's in the planning department over at City of Temple, but obviously the COG had presented to y'all, or had come up, I don't remember what month it was, and talked about the Four Corners area. So really right now, basically the call for projects, and Urian, like I said, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but really the call for projects, the proposals are due in October. So the City of Temple is going to put on the KTMPO call for projects a proposal that addresses all of 2483. Some of it's within their city limits, some of it's in the county/ETJ, and some of it's within Morgan's Point Resort. So basically what you have in here is a map and just a preliminary opinion of probable cost from the City of Temple, whoever they use for their engineers. So right now, we're not asking really for anything. We do kind of want a record vote that gets y'all to show that, yes, the city is willing to put some support with the proposal. However, that just means the proposal will get submitted to KTMPO, who then will look at all the proposals submitted, and they will score the proposal, and they will make the determination to take that proposal either up to TxDOT, or it might not get submitted. So right now, right here, we're not actually asking for any monetary commitment or anything like this. What we're really wanting y'all to say is we want something done with that road, and we want a say for the city of Morgan's Point Resort, what that say will be. So if City of Temple is putting it in there, at some point we can figure out the cost share with another interlocal agreement between the city of Morgan's Point Resort and the City of Temple at a later date. But if the scoring, when the KTMPO looks at all the projects, if it doesn't score very well, then we're not on the hook for anything. However, it will look better from a KTMPO perspective, that the city of Temple obviously is supporting it because they wouldn't have put the proposal. And if we can at least say council is supporting the proposal, that's all that's all that staff is asking for tonight at this meeting.
Right, and this is complicated because this particular project is just called the 2483 expansion, which is just taking the road where it stops 3 lanes or 4 lanes by the high school, and then it goes down to 2 lanes for the county part and coming into Morgan's Point. And so it's just looking at that road and creating 2 ways plus a 3rd turn lane, plus some sidewalks. There's some money in there for a water line. But then that's just this project. And then we have the ongoing project that we've funded our portion for the master plan of that whole corridor coming down from 317 down to Four Corners. And then we have that grant out there on the sidewalk. So all these things are coming together from the new high school of trying to figure all that out. This is just one piece of it. And if it goes forward, then the council would have to consider, based on these numbers, we would probably have to fund a portion of the engineering costs, which could range from $500,000 to $700,000 just on the road expansion piece, not on anything else. But tonight, we don't have to make that commitment because I think there's too many things in motion. But Temple is going to present it to KTMPO in October. And so we just want to be a part of that proposal and consideration.
Right, and I can't really speak to the project because the project call hasn't closed. But that is the process. You guys have signed an ILA with the city of Temple. We'll take this recommendation when they submit the project, when the city of Temple submits it. Now, then what happens is all of these projects will probably get a little over 100 because everything that is in our plan now has to be resubmitted every single time we do a project call. And we currently have about 90-something projects. And we take those, and those go to an advisory committee who scores and prioritizes them. And that's a couple month-long process. And then it'll go to a group of elected officials that sit on a policy board who will determine ultimate funding and prioritization for these projects across the region. So there is quite a lengthy process. We've already completed our funding mechanism for 23 through 26. So it's not a fast process. We're not looking at funding in 2 weeks. There's plenty of time to get additional ducks in a row if they're needed. But this is to initially get, your name in there for consideration. And as things come to fruition, those things can be taken into account as we move closer in the process.
Yeah, this goes back to what we talked about, I think, at one of our previous council meetings about not having a seat at the table and how we've kind of missed the boat, so to speak, on, well, there's no water, so there's no boat. How we've missed the boat on some of these things. So sat in on this meeting, and it was actually pretty interesting, and I think it's really important that we jump as high as we can on this. Just, there's not a lot of... Not a lot that we're throwing at it right now, so I think it's a good idea to move forward with it. When I looked at the map during the powwow that we had, I mean, everybody knows across from the high school there's houses going in up there now. And I was floored when I actually saw the map with all the property lines. Holy cow. So that road, there's going to be stuff done to that road eventually, so I think it's important for us to get on board with everybody else who's getting on board, to get on board with everybody else who wants to help everybody get on board to do something with this road. Otherwise, we end up with a ridiculous 2-lane merge with kids trying to turn, and so.
You think we should get on board?
Council.
I think we're on board.
Oh, okay. Can we make a motion?
What do you need,
There's
Carrie?
probably no motion if y'all can just make a, is everyone in support or however you want to do that we want
We're
to.
on board.
Okay, but yes, if we can at least have a
Pat's
roll
on
call
board.
vote.
Stephen, how do you feel?
I think it's a lot of information. So I'm going to abstain, actually.
Okay.
Temple's going to present this to KTMPO in October, and all they need from us is to say, we're interested. So I guess I'm interested.
Interested, okay. I guess I am too. I'm thinking ahead, down the road, if it comes to, if Temple expands 4-lane and we're ending up, we're not very many,
Right, and that would be
much
horrible.
traffic, we can always say, you know what, we think 2 lanes gonna be enough for us. We can always do that at a later date, I think.
Well, and yeah, then, I just don't want to make any commitments until I have all.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah, it's not,
So many pieces.
it's not a financial
much.
commitment, but it is trying to get our name in the hat, so.
We want to get our name in the hat, I totally,
And Jimbo, thanks for involving yourself in KTMPO as a representative of Morgan's Point. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes.
I'll tell you, if you have a chance for our citizens, of course I'm one as well, but super interesting meetings with these, I don't remember what you called yourself, engineering geeks. And yeah, I mean, it's most of the stuff, quite honestly, is echelons above reality and outside of my scope of real. But it's really interesting when you hear these guys talking. So
Nice.
get a chance, sit in.
I'd love to go sometime. Okay, next we have city managers updates.
You Ryan? Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah, right.
I mean, really for the project and audit updates, really, I will email y'all just to make sure we're all on the same page because I've really had to put the pause button on a couple things. But I will make sure really the project, or Alfonso, you might even be able to speak. What are we looking for the ground storage tank completion? April.
April.
So, and then the one generator went live, the other one they're breaking ground on. And so really, I think that's really kind of it for the projects. Obviously, the road, little small piece was done. We haven't really approved anything else. And so for the audit updates, like I said, I have not focused on audits over the last couple of weeks. I will fully admit to that, but I will make sure I contact them tomorrow, and then I will just kind of forward y'all the response. So if there's a new updated timeline, because really the last thing that they were waiting on for me was one confirmation, and I need to get them entries just to get the old audits, kind of the audit entries that were never made into our trial balance. However, if I get with them and they even say they can start without it, that way we're not holding up any progress. But I will email y'all audit updates to that way y'all can hold me accountable. So.
And right now, we're probably looking at the end of the year.
Oh,
on
yeah, I'm still
completion.
hoping that it would be
Okay.
in this calendar year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Carrie. And then can we put roads on the agenda for next time to discuss our project moving forward? Okay,
On a regular agenda item,
regular.
not on
Yeah,
an
no,
update.
that was on me. That I actually meant to put that on there. and
Oh,
I
okay.
That's
forgot.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
So then, yeah, because then next time I'd like to have us kind of make the plan to move forward so we can,
Right. Nope.
whatever way we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's why I emailed Dale right after I sent it, since I'd already published it and started printing it off. But I just figured it, Alfonso could speak under the project updates part.
Okay, and then department reports. Is maintenance, do you have a report?
I think Jesse's the only one here.
Okay.
You want to say anything? No. Sure.
he takes care of business though.
Here's your chance. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, that's great news. Okay, Fire department.
Taryn's not here. They had training.
Okay, they're not here tonight.
Yeah, so I mean, really, we just.
Unless Esther.
That's why Jesse wasn't coming through. I'm not going to hit on everything because it's here in the packet. Just to hit on a few highlights. So since the last update, I want to adjust it. So since the last update, One major thing that we've been working on, and I worked in collaboration with both Carrie and Dalton, was we're trying to improve our financial accountability or our financial transparency. And with the eventual goal of meeting standards for GFOA certification. So this year, unfortunately, we just did not have the time to create a budget book that would meet those standards because it's a pretty intensive process that involves all of the department heads. And so this year, our goal was to at least improve the readability of the proposed budget summary and make it a little bit more accessible. And that will be online as soon as Carrie has those final updates. We will be posting the finalized summary. And so we wanted to improve the readability of that. We also began, we are in the early stages of kickoff with ClearGov. And ClearGov is really going to help us with the budget efficiency and transparency. So they actually have a module that will allow us to, it's basically like a plug and play rubric. It tells us everything we need to have a budget book that will meet the standards for GFOA certification. And the goal of that is for us to have a budget book that is both usable, but can also serve as a communications piece so that anyone can pick it up and more or less understand what the city is spending its money on. And so I'm really excited. I've been working alongside Carrie to get ClearGov kicked off. There are a few stages. First off, we have to get our budget with ClearGov, and there's a lot of accounting side of things. But then once we've got that, I can begin work with department heads so that for next year's budget, each department will have its own section in the budget book where they talk about what's going on in the department and why they're spending the money on what they're wanting to spend the money on. So it's really cool. And I can also, if you guys are interested, I can send you some examples of budget books that meet those standards. And it's really fun to nerd out on those budget books. We, in the past month or two, we did have an incident, a drowning incident at Lake Belton that we coordinated with Fort Cavazos Media Relations Department on. And through that, as unfortunate as it is, through that, we were able to ensure that we had communications regarding the incident that handled the competing needs between timeliness and respecting their policies. So we forged some really good connections with their media relations department so that moving forward, we can work in collaboration with them regarding any incidents where kind of our jurisdiction overlaps with their jurisdiction. And ultimately with the goal that we always want to be respectful to victims and their families. And we understand that incidents like that are newsworthy and people want to know about it, but we also want to respect people's privacy. And then ultimately, we want to really point everyone's attention back toward open water safety. And so we have also, if you guys have been paying attention, we have continued to release some open water safety videos through the Fire Rescue Department's page, because especially with the lake levels as low as they are, my plea to everyone, my plea to everyone is to please just be mindful of open water safety out on the lake. It is very dangerous with the lake levels being as low as they are. Debris, as we talked about earlier, debris have come up. It's easy to get caught on things. It's easy for your boat to get caught on things. So there can be accidents caused by hitting brush. And so we are just continuing to try to push out as much information as possible, because if we can prevent even one drowning, then that's why we do what we do. We are continuing work on the website and the antenna. We are continuing work on the website and on trying to work toward a more all-in-one communication source. So we are in early negotiations with Civic Plus to improve our website and to improve navigation on the website to make information as accessible as possible. So the website's just been needing an update for a while. And so we're trying to make sure that as we're trying to improve navigation on the website, we're also working with Civic Plus to make sure that we've got the best contract possible. And then we also recently did move, we worked with TextMyGov and Civic Plus to change the TextMyGov widget that was on the website. We had gotten a lot of complaints from residents that the little pop-up in the corner was really annoying. So we moved it to a more discrete location. And that was surprisingly difficult. And then with the website, Google Analytics are unavailable at this time because Google Analytics is making a transition. And Civic Plus has to give us new access once that transition is over. So far as we did have some great training, both Becky and I don't know if she's still here, we both attended public information officer training in College Station through the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service with the through the Fire Rescue Department. So we got some really great training there. And that means that now myself and Becky and Jimbo, who they are volunteer PIOs for the police department and the fire rescue department, that means that all three of us have now been trained in PIO. So that's a great, it makes it easier for us to communicate with each other. And even when it came to that drowning incident, it made it a lot easier for us to all be on the same page and to know how to handle the situation. And I am extremely grateful for their work. I also completed a FEMA training. So far as social media statistics go, you guys can look at the details. Some of our stats were higher, some of them were a little bit lower. That was to be expected since we didn't have quite as many events in the month of August, and events are always what drive traffic. So a few things were lower. However, the exciting thing was that we finally reached enough followers on Instagram that we start getting statistics. So now we can actually track that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then on the website, you know, I worked with Joanne on the website for a few years, and I hope you don't feel locked in to Civic Plus. That
Oh,
if
I
you-
don't.
Okay.
No.
Because I'm thinking, I'm hearing Band-Aid.
Yeah, no, so
know
I-
how difficult, and there are other options out there. And-
Yeah, so
okay.
for now, it's more of a bandwidth issue. If we do a complete website redesign and we move to a new vendor, we've looked into that option, and that is just a massive process. And so we decided to, from a budget perspective, and also from a bandwidth perspective, we decided to stick with Civic Plus for at least one more year. And then we'll take a look. And honestly, I talked to some other PIOs at my conference about it, and they advised me that if you're going to do a redesign, you need at least a year to prepare for that redesign. You need to make sure that you are spending that year basically outlining your whole website, working on the back end, making sure that everything
help
is...
you do that. The vendors can give you, they can map our website for us.
Yeah,
to
it's more
help.
about cleaning up the information on the back end.
I see.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like documents and information on the back end that we need to make sure that we're even prepared for that transition. So, and then also it was part of budget. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks very much. That was very informative.
And then
So-
can I do the finance department
Pardon?
one? I just real quick that y'all gave me permission last month to hire a senior accountant a month early, and so we did actually fill that position. And so Amber started 2 or 3 weeks ago. So most of y'all have met her. She's not here tonight. She actually was going to attend, but some family obligation came up. But so if you haven't met her, stop by and I'll introduce you to our newest city hire.
Thank you. Amber Metter. And all the others, I think, have already spoken. Yeah. Except for Marina. On the Marina, yes.
I wanted to go back to the police station because there was something that jumped out at me that I thought was awesome, is that Todd Hodge has celebrated his 10th year as a public service officer.
Right, that was great.
Awesome.
Todd Hodge. Wow.
Hodge.
Great. Did you want to...
Shout out to Hodge.
And Gus is here. I don't know, the dive team looked like they did some
Officer
training.
Gus, do you want to speak on the police department?
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as that goes, it's great. I've actually been involved in the city 21 years. I've known that getting recruited by to be a police officer. But other than that, everything's going good. Everybody's happy. We're doing our job. And our jobs get tougher. I'm sure Chief has told y'all. We are not the neighborhood we used to be 15 years ago when I came.
Yep.
We have a lot of territory between two major cities that bump up to us. And it's going to increase, obviously, but we got to handle it as far as I can see.
Wonderful. That's a good report. Good to hear.
Thank you, Gus.
That is good to hear. Yeah.
Can't forget National Night Out. We are going to, how many years? Has anybody put in for it yet? Are we doing it every day? Yep. I am promoting that, okay.
Good job, good job.
We do that every year. I get called. We do that every year, guys. We're open to the citizens. We're hoping that the citizens actually come out and talk. I know that it's been said that, and there's a history, Morgan's Point PD is rough, or Tiffin PD is rough, or whatever it may be. I don't want anybody to think that at all. We're here to protect each and every one. However, we have to do it. And like I had said earlier, it's gotten rougher to do our job, which is fine. We can deal with it. And we're going to continue to do that. So when that gets put on the calendar, please, Becky, let them know. And I will be there, the dive team will be there and whatnot, and so forth. Do apologize. I talked to my chief. We started putting in dive team reports in your packets. We've always been a dark force behind the scenes because my guys do not want any recognition. That's just the way we work, guys. So you're getting information that other council members used to not get. You understand what really happens behind the scenes. Or we wear the black shirt. All right.
Hey, Gus, I got one
Appreciate you,
question.
Gus.
Appreciate that.
I got one question, Gus. Has Thompson or Newsom let you drive their new car yet?
Well, I have a rule. Okay, you brought it up. My rule is if that car is not assigned to you, you have no business driving. I'm probably the only peace officer in Morgan's Point that fell to his knees in the back of the station crying over my brand new car that has 75,000 miles, 75 miles that somebody else drove it. I got the call to come up to the station. When I walked to the station, I literally went to my knees crying. So no, I don't know, and that's bad mojo. It ain't mine.
Bad mojo, right.
But they are nice.
Yeah. All right, so we did Marina, did we have a Marina? I ran into Randy Snow when I was out walking one day, and he said they did have to extend the Marina further out because of the low water level. That's all I know, and what was in our packet. Code enforcement was in our packet, and we already heard from Esther and from Carrie. So I think we talked about items for future agenda is number 9, and I would like to put on the evacuation plan that you started to talk about. I think that's something should go on our agenda, and we need to move forward and make a plan. So kind of if we can, Jim, we'll put you in kind of in charge of bringing information to us, because I think you're the one expert on that. That would be something I would like to see on the agenda is evacuation plan. And the COG can always help. I'm just kidding. Okay. Anything else for future agenda items? I already asked for the roads for next time to discuss kind of at length our process in moving forward. And
Yeah,
of course,
and-
the audits are standing, yeah.
Yes, but depending upon where we are in the audits, at some point, I would like the auditors to come here. I don't, you make that call as to when you think it's appropriate, but sooner rather than later for me. Okay, thank you.
So there is a point here that says we may go into executive session, and if we need to, it's to discuss personnel matters. And I believe that executive session was set up so that we could discuss probably wages with Carrie. Is that correct?
Yeah, or anything on the vacancy that y'all want to discuss,
Okay.
so.
Does anybody want to go into executive session? Carrie, would you like to say anything about your wages, current wages? And what because you're doing more work now, we know that, so.
Right, really, we can, or we can just talk about it at a later time.
Okay.
Really, we can put it out there. The salary, it was in the budget, so basically if I'm at step 3, alternate, his role as city manager was at step 10. So I'm not trying to say that I think I need to go up as a grade or anything like this, but even as the cog, obviously if you annualize Dalton's salary out by month or anything like this, obviously we're at a better spot. So here, I wouldn't think that just, I would think if y'all wanted, then yes, we can discuss it now or we can discuss it later.
Okay. What do y'all want to do? I think something we should think
It
about.
might be premature, right?
Yeah, something we need to think about is when your assistant city manager takes on a larger role, it might be a good idea to think about some compensation for that. So if you'll put that in your hats and think about that for next time. I don't think we need to call executive session. So if everybody agrees, that's the end of the agenda. So.
Okay. Oh, thanks everybody for coming, and thanks you, Ryan, for stepping up and helping our city.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you all for a good meeting.
So we got a
And
motion
need-
to adjourn.
Yeah, you guys have any?
Comments?
Oh, yes, thank you. Comments?
Yeah, just echo. Thanks for being here and sticking out with us.
Okay, and you said already. Pat, do you have any comments? Stephen?
It's a great place to live. Thankful for all you guys.
Okay. All right, thank you all for coming, for putting up with our meeting this time, and hopefully it went pretty well. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
And thanks, Roxanne.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.